The only videos I have from before Julie after his MMR vaccine are videos that we made for his sister. This is us trying to get him to be part of the group and sing happy birthday to his sister. Hi, I first called Julie in October of 2016 for my son JoJo. He has autism. At the time I was in complete denial. I remember calling her and telling her that he was banging his head on the ground to bleed and biting to bleed. But this was normal, right? And she yelled at me and she said, no, this is brain inflammation. This is not normal. And you need to take this seriously. And, well, it's been a little bit over a year, but this little guy has a friend.
Whoa!
You should clap.
JoJo, go get the airplane. Put the airplane on.
I got it. Come on.
Okay.
Right.
Don't jump until it's on, JoJo.
Jump.
So it was actually 1 year later, this past Halloween, that JoJo developed his obsession for Halloween. And that's really also, it was this October that he started actually following directions where I could make a video and ask him to do an Eagles cheer. And he did an Eagles cheer.
Can you do an Eagles cheers? E? That's right.
Shauna and Beth, you were right. JoJo is autistic. After he started in the IU, he got a fever of 104 and had some regressions. In March, we started detoxing his flu shot, doing cease therapy. They take the flu vaccine that he received and dilute it down and make a little sugar pill out of it. And every Saturday, we give him his cease. And then he has like diarrhea and a runny nose and the things that happen when he got his vaccines. And some behaviors like the head banging and the biting, hating my guts, poop art, puking out the nose, non-responsive. But we got hugs, kisses, and meaningful speech out of it. So it has highly been worth it, and we're going to detox every single vaccine out of this kid.
JoJo, you want to take your C's? Look, here's your C's. Okay. All right. That helps you to detox from your flu shot.
In August, we started doing Methyl B12 injections, which were expensive, in the thousands. But very effective. It helps with speech, focus, and social skills, all of which JoJo was lacking in. And that all became consistently better. He was able to ride a bike after that. He can play catch now. It really made a difference. In October, we started 40 hyperbaric oxygen chamber dives. We finished them in early December, and then after 2 to 3 weeks, that's when you actually see the results from the hyperbaric. And JoJo's play skills have really blossomed. That's when he actually started playing appropriately. 2 weeks to the day that we finished hyperbaric, we have a new roommate with the little boy Carmine that you saw in the video. Carmine and JoJo played upstairs for over an hour quietly. I didn't think it was possible. We're starting the Ion Cleanse foot bath. I asked about helping the detoxing with the cease in a support group, and a few people told me to do this Ion Cleanse foot bath for $2,000, which was not very exciting to me. And then I joined a support group for it the next day. And then the following morning, my sister gifted me the foot bath. How amazing is that? Medical community and autism I'm going to start you off with Wikipedia's page on Paul Offit. As you can see in yellow, he is the co-inventor of the rotavirus vaccine, director of the Vaccine Education Center at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, member of the Center of Disease Control Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. He actually filled out a waiver for them, and they granted it so that he could put his rotavirus vaccine on the mandatory schedule and release himself from all liability to injuries caused by that vaccine.
You can never really say MMR doesn't cause autism, but frankly, when you get in front of the media, you better get used to saying it, because otherwise people hear a door being left open when a door shouldn't be left open.
Offit is the founding board member of the Autism Science Foundation. Again, that seems like a complete and utter conflict of interest to me. Now, I'd like to focus in on how he is the director of the Vaccine Education Center at CHOP.
But if you're a child, it's assumed that your parents represent your best interest, and that's not always true. And when it's not true, as is true in this case, where parents have, say, a false belief that vaccines cause autism and they don't want to vaccinate their child, who do those children go to? And I think the answer is they go to the state. And I think that's what happened, frankly, in California, which used basically a child's rights issue as the central focus of how they made
June 23rd, I took JoJo to the pediatrician for the last time. I explained to the pediatrician how we were doing cease therapy to detox JoJo of his flu shot, how I got a book, Autism Beyond Despair, Cease Therapy, written by the doctor who created the therapy, who was also Jennifer McCarthy's doctor, and how it states that if you're dyslexic, that's a vitamin, an omega-3 deficiency. And that if the mother has that, she can't, if she's dyslexic, she can't give omega-3s to her child because she doesn't have it to give. And that if you vaccinate on top of that, you are guaranteeing that your child will be someplace on the spectrum. And I'm dyslexic. Well, I used to be dyslexic. I've been on omega-3 gummies, and I got rid of my dyslexia. It also says that if you've got mucus in your bowels, which I had a colonoscopy and an endoscopy done for that makes you high risk. Another thing was loss of child during pregnancy, and we haven't seen my stepdaughter. It'll be 4 years at Easter, and going to court every single time that we saw her during my pregnancy. That stress was definitely the stress of losing a child. Another thing was copper in the bloodstream, and we changed all of the copper plumbing in our house before he had his Mmr vaccine. When JoJo received his Mmr vaccine, we reviewed his side effects, which we did at every visit from the time that he was 4 months old. He said 2 or 3 words with meaning. He waves goodbye. His behavioral development is normal. His neurological development is normal. His language development is normal. At the very next appointment, they tested him for autism, and they have him at an Autism 2 MCHAT scored. They say patient seems to be delayed, does not know pictures, body parts, does not point, does not interact well, no speech, does not babble, only yells. They then gave him 2 vaccines, which was informed disconsent. The last thing on the list is paint fumes, and with renovating the condo while living it, and the upstairs in Yardley while living it, and the downstairs in Yardley while living it, and then JoJo knocking over a can of paint and jumping in the can of paint, he had maximum exposure to paint fumes before his last set of vaccines, which I believe he had a seizure from. And I told his pediatrician that I believe that he had a seizure from that vaccine. And I told her how I was detoxing his vaccine and his flu shot, and how he wouldn't eat food from me, and in the morning I'm the one that would get him off to school so he wouldn't eat breakfast because my mom was asleep and she wouldn't feed him because she was sleeping, and he wouldn't. I would take pictures because the school was acting like I wasn't feeding the kid. But I couldn't feed him. He wouldn't eat for me, just like after he had gotten his flu shot. And things are so much better in that direction. He will eat anything for me today. What came next, I did not expect the vaccine refusal form. And if it was just a form refusing to vaccinate, that would be fine. But this form states that I'm endangering the life of my child and those that he may come into contact with, and agrees that he could be quarantined at any moment. It's absurd. It gives him a child ID. It has it being signed with a witness. And I'm not signing that I'm endangering my child's life. I care about JoJo more than anybody in this world. In the movie Vaxxed, they cover Billy Tommy at 6 months. And this is a common story, the reactions to the vaccines. And that's actually documented here in JoJo's medical file. Has cough off and on. Mom feels he is fine. Mom says he coughs after vaccines, makes a hacky cough in exam room. Parents don't seem too concerned and feels he makes noises for fun. Well, I was so unconcerned that I refused to vaccinate him that day, and that was Joey's first wellness appointment to hold JoJo down for his shots. The doctor then went on to say, well, infant ? Largomycia may need to see an ENT, ! Vaccines administered Hib didn't stop him from getting his incentive vaccine reimbursement check, did it? Thanks for taking the time to watch this, and thank you, all three of you guys, so much. Especially you, Shauna, because I know I was roughest on you, because you were the one that wanted me to admit from the very beginning that I needed help, extra help, and yeah, I wasn't admitting there was any problem, but in the last year I've admitted it, and I've learned more than I've learned in the rest of my life, and you guys are the first help that us moms get. And there's not a lot of people that point us in the right direction for help. We all seem to think that our doctors and our pediatricians know and do what's best for our kids. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that they don't. So Julie Latchman, she's got a website, www.drlatchman.com, and I hope you guys refer a lot of people to her. She has been the most affordable help that we've received, because we haven't really received any help in network. Insurance doesn't cover MAPS doctors. HBOT is covered in Europe for autism, but in the United States, hospitals deny autistic kids treatment even if their parents offer to pay for it out of pocket. So that's where we're at. All right. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. I hope you guys send a lot of people to Julie, and I hope that you guys see progress in your work like you've never seen before. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Go ahead, JoJo, sing.
You like more.
Keep going. I want to hear you sing.
You like it more. You like it more.